The topic of this video that will be discussed is verbal abuse. What is verbal abuse? Verbal abuse is when a person forcefully criticizes, insults, or denounces someone else by publicly declaring them to be wrong. It is characterized by underlying anger and hostility, a destructive form of communication intended to harm the self-concept of the other person to produce negative emotions. Verbal abuse is a manipulative mechanism that anyone can display during times of increased stress or physical discomfort. It can also be a way for someone to control or manipulate others to get revenge. Anyone can experience verbal abuse, especially children. There are many factors that should be considered that make a child more susceptible to this type of abuse. Such factors include age. Children under the age of 4 years old tend to be targets of abuse, mental health, developmental or physical disabilities, colic, gender, deformity, looks, and other health issues. It increases in intensity and frequency over time. After exposure to verbal abuse, victims may develop a clinical depression or post-traumatic stress disorder. A child that is targeted by verbal abuse over time may succumb to any stress-related illnesses and can create emotional pain and mental distress. Now for some facts about verbal abuse towards children. Fact number 1. Verbal abuse is not merely expressed through insults towards the victim. Though insults are the most common way to identify verbal abuse, other forms include bullying or mocking someone, threats, put-downs, withholding information or intentionally failing to share thoughts and feelings, blaming the victim for things out of their control, and countering the victim's memories. It is using words to intimidate and or control the victim. Fact number 2. Verbal abuse does not leave any type of physical mark. It can be highly detrimental to a child's mental health as physical abuse and can change the structure of a child's developing brain. Fact number 3. Verbal aggression and abuse is internalized by children. They believe in everything that is said to them and become very self-critical. If it is apparent that one needs to trust and depend upon for love and support, the result can be an experience of abandonment and betrayal. Children will carry those hurtful and toxic words through adulthood, which can create damage to their self-esteem and self-worth, thus resulting in numerous negative and long-term effects to the child. For example, drug abuse, poor coping skills, trouble maintaining social or romantic relationships, and so much more. Now for a little intervention. How can we put an end to this vicious cycle? Here are tips to help prevent and stop verbal abuse. Tip number 1. Recognize your behavior and identify what is causing the verbal aggression. By realizing what is triggering you to get upset and not taking it out on your child, you are more likely to respond in a positive way. Tip number 2. Learn to calm yourself down before responding to the child. By using effective communication and calmly explain to the child how their behavior is affecting you, and then attempt to resolve the conflict in an appropriate manner. This effective behavior will also teach a child valuable skills to communicate with you and others to address your conflict they are experiencing. Tip number 3. Try learning ways to keep yourself composed under times of stress, such as meditation. Research shows that meditating helps reduce anxiety and stress. Learn mindfulness techniques that will help decrease any anxiety that is being experienced. These types of skills can be taught and provided by a therapist or counselor. They may also provide additional support and resources that may be related to the abuse. Need help? If you know anyone that is experiencing this or would like to seek help for yourself, please do not hesitate to contact the Child Abuse Prevention Center at 714-543-4333. Or you can also visit them at www.brightfuturesforkids.org. For immediate assistance, call Child Protective Services at 1-800-952-5253. Help save a life and break the cycle.